Nominee, I have two questions for you. One is, you've told us here you've been involved in education all your life. Now, we have two major problems with higher education, tertiary level. One is the constant strike by your colleagues, university teachers. And a lot of students, they get into university for a 4-year program. They end up spending 8 years because of the strike actions of teachers. How do we address this problem? The second is the issue of funding of tertiary education. There's ongoing debate all over the world on the appropriate way to fund tertiary education. So what is, in your view, would be appropriate for us as a country, given the state of our economy? Should universities be financially independent in such a way that they can charge appropriate fees, and maybe government will now provide grants and scholarships and student loans? Or you believe that what we are doing is correct, where government-owned universities and then take up the responsibility of running these institutions? What, in your view, should be appropriate for us? And finally, I've looked at your CV. Under our Constitution, every state is entitled to one minister who must be an indigene of that particular state. Now, I've looked at your CV. There's no document to establish that you are from the Ondo state. Is it Ondo? Okay, there's no document here showing that you are from Ondo, because we have other CVs where their colleagues had included documents to establish, pursuant to the Constitution, they are indigenous to those respective states. So if you have it somewhere, would you be glad to send it to us in the course of our confirmation hearing?
Senator Buhari.
My name is Senator Ike Ekweremadu. I represent Enugu West. Senator Ike Ekweremadu.
Senator Buhari.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleague, my name Buhari Abdul Fatai, Oyo North. Mr. Nominee, I have two questions for you. As of today, we have over 100 universities in this country producing graduates year in, year out. And at the end, they come into the labor market unemployed. What are the ways you believe you'll be able to solve this problem for this country? The second question, cultism is rampant in this country today. And I've seen that you have spent most of your year in the university. How do you tackle it? Thank you.
Senator Sam Ohabunwa.
Mr. President, this is Sam.
Mr. President,
Who's
you're
Sam?
combining my senior brother's name with my name, but the underlying name is Ohuabunwa. Sam, you can't be Ohuabunwa. Mr. President, my name is Senator Mao Ohuabunwa, representing the entire people of Abia North Senatorial District of God's own state, Abia State. Prof, you're welcome. From your CV and from what you've said, I think it's likely you might be the best education minister we've not had yet. Because looking at your CV, you've been assistant headmaster, you've been a headmaster. That's what I'm saying. You've been an assistant headmaster, you've been a headmaster, you've been a teacher, you've been a lecturer, you've been a professor, and we've seen the number of candidates and students you've supervised both at doctorate and other levels. Two questions I want to ask. One, when we are growing up, we knew about education supervisors, those who go to schools, to supervise schools, to assess them and score them accordingly. Today, I doubt if we still have education supervisors. Because if you look today, we have proliferation of private schools, nursery, primary, secondary. And if you pay a particular amount this term, Next semester, it will be another amount, another semester, which shows that there is no monitor, there is no supervisor, but it's still the Ministry of Education that gives them this approval to run. But after that, they are left to charge at what level. Even now, if they have a point, they could say schools meant for only president children or whatever, based on fees. Number two, so what do you think will be the best approach to that? Number two, sir, I can see too from your record, you went to the teachers training college, you had grade 2 certificate. I want to ask you, sir, if you become the Minister for Education, what will be your training program for our teachers? Our teachers constantly trained, or they just graduate and they go into academic world and they remain there? And again, are they properly remunerated? And finally, when we were also growing up, civic education was part of the curriculum. History. Today, you don't teach civics, you don't teach national ethics, you don't teach history. What effect do you think that non-teaching of those subjects has on our education system? And finally, sir, is everywhere you go, people say that the education standard is falling in Nigeria. It's become a sing-song. What can you do as a Minister of Education to ensure that maybe within your 4 years or within this short period, the music will change, that everyone will, now instead of going to Ghana or Cameroon or wherever, they rather will turn, that people will begin to come to Nigeria as it used to be to acquire education? Those are my questions, Mr. President.
Senator Adeleke.
Isiaka Adeleke, Osun West. Prof, October 11th, 2015 was International Day of the Girl Child. And in commemoration of the event, the United Nations released some shocking statistics. One, that more than 700 million women the world over were married as children. That is, those below the age of 18. That every 10 minutes, somewhere in the world, an adolescent girl dies as a result of violence. In emergencies, adolescent girls are especially vulnerable to sexual violence, and in some cases, are abducted and exploited for sexual purposes by armed groups. A case in hand is our Chibok girls. As a sociologist, how can we protect our girls in Nigeria from societal vices and malice? Thank you.
Professor, maybe take those questions. Take those sets of questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. The first question by Senator Ikere Madu, about constant strikes in our universities. Okay, sorry, Deputy Senate President Ikere Madu. Asking about constant strikes in our universities. This is because of lack of communication between the government and the universities. Then the universities administration and the lecturers. We have gap. And to solve this, I think, with due respect, one needs to go to University of Ilorin to borrow a leave. We don't go on strike. If you are coming for 3 years program, you stay for 3 years and you go away. If it is 4 years, you stay your 4 years and go away. Why? What is the magic? We have dialogue. There's dialogue between the administration and the lecturers, the administration and the non-teaching staff. Now, it is late for the federal government to close this gap between the federal government and the university, and the university and the lecturers. If this gap can be closed by coming together to dialogue, I believe this particular strike, the strikes we have in our universities will be reduced to the minimum. Then for funding, yes, it had been the cry of every person that the universities or education in general are inadequately funded. Then the question is, do we have any monitoring team? Do we put anything on ground to monitor the money the federal government sends to these institutions? The federal government might be sending money. This money might be going to individual pockets. It is. I'm not saying the federal government is giving enough attention to the university funding, but I'm saying the little the federal government is giving, are we actually monitoring it? That is to say that we must put a machinery in motion that we go around the universities to see actually the money that are being pumped out are going to those projects that they were meant for. Then you mentioned that there's nothing to show that I'm from Ondo State. Yes, I am from Ondo State. My mother is from Ondo State, my father is from Ondo State. My three distinguished senators, they know that I'm from Ondo State. Even if you go to Sokoto today, at the Usman Dan Fodio University, Faculty of Education, you mention my name, they will tell you I'm from Ondo State. They will tell you I'm from Ondo State.